Was just saying then, Johnny.
Yep.
Your beard game is quite similar to mine at the minute. So well played.
I need a trim. I'm waiting to trim it Tuesday or Wednesday just to shorten it down so it's a bit of stubble. I'm not trying to grow a full one. I'm not on that level.
I can't grow a full one. So I mean,
it needs a shave. It looks messy. It looks messy, my one.
Oh, I was thinking we look quite good, but maybe I'll shave mine.
I've got mixed reviews. Mixed reviews.
How are you, Johnny? Good to see you again, mate.
Yeah, I'm good. Just training, sort of tailoring down now, and looking forward to Saturday now. You put all the hard work in. I want to show the improvements that I've made, and I'm looking forward to getting in the ring.
Let's jump straight into that. How does training go down in a fight week? What do you get up to? I'm assuming nothing too intense, but you tell me.
Well, tonight I've just done a few sprints, and I've done a little recovery swim, just a really leisurely swim for about 10-20 minutes. So it's nothing mental. It's just 20 minutes work tops, and then everything's short and sharp, and it's just about keeping yourself on point, ready to fight. You're not going to get any fitter in this time. It's just about staying sharp.
Does that resonate with you, Dean? I'm sure you've been through enough fight weeks with your fighters.
Yeah, same. Yeah, fight week is chilled. You know, you just keep the heart rate, you keep the blood going. You just want to keep the active moment going with your body. You know, the fluidness. Sometimes we just touch out with the pad, bring the heart rate up, go for walks. Keep it calm, man. There's nothing too strenuous. Like you said, you can't spar, get yourself injured. You're not going to improve anymore. The only thing you can do is, you know, hinder yourself by making yourself be flat on fight night if you know, overkill. So yeah, you know, you peter down, you take down, and you just kind of go into fight week and just think, listen, all the hard work's been done. I just need to go in there, relax, and go and do what I need to do on the night, and that's it.
Definitely.
It's fight week at Fight Camp. Did you see it last Saturday, Johnny? It was a hell of an opener.
Yeah, I watched it, and obviously the main thing to take away was the success of Lee Wood, but beat a tough competitor, and must be on top of the world now, because obviously he wasn't expecting to be the main event either.
No, and it was his birthday as well when he signed off.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
His birthday.
It was a good once in a lifetime sort of thing for him, part of his career. So fair play to him and credit to him.
What was it like for you watching that, thinking, okay, now it's my turn?
Well, I remember watching it last year when I was not even signed. I was just coming back from doing some sparring with Joe, and I wasn't even aware that I was going to be signing with anyone. And now to be watching it, knowing that I'm going to be fighting in a week's time for the last one, it's a bit surreal, really. But it's just, I'm just taking it all in my stride and taking each day, each fight, each training camp, each spar at a time, and just seeing how far it can all go. And at the minute, it's going quite well, and I'm enjoying it. So that's the main thing.
I'm going to talk about your opponent, but I want to bring Dean in first, because the heavyweight scene is very fluid at the minute. Obviously, we spoke about it last time. We don't need to go over the Fury Wilder and stuff again, because it's barely moved since last time we spoke. We know where we are with that. But the heavyweight scene outside of those guys at the minute that you're just coming into, there's levels to it, and every level seems to be really busy. Do you know, regardless of whether you're at the start of your career like you are, where there's other fighters. I mean, we'll speak about Danny Whitaker himself in a moment, but then you've got slightly levels up from there, you know, the likes of maybe Nick Webb or Alan Babbitt, who's there as well. Every level seems to be very, very busy at the moment. And start with yourself, Dean. Just how do you see all that playing out at the minute?
I think just like what you said, you got Fabio, you got Babbage, you got Webb. Obviously, Johnny's coming in. He's early in his career. Who else is coming in that's quite early? I think that there's a Robinson, a big kid. He's down from Newcastle. He's only had a few fights. How many fights he had, I don't know, but he's a big old one that's been sparring with Joshua from Newcastle. There's
the guys Wasserman have just signed. The Hosea Stewart, Matty Harris.
Oh yeah, Hosea Stewart. Yeah, he's pretty good. I've watched him. Yeah, we done him the other day. He's pretty decent, but he hasn't had any fights yet. But he's early. You know what I mean? Johnny's just a little bit ahead of him because obviously he's got to get off the mark. But we're talking about guys that have got off the mark and gonna, you know, doing, you know, like the infrastructure stage where they're starting to make their brand and build and find the style that they want to fight at. Because, you know, if you come from amateurs and you're in the gym and you're sparring, sometimes those things turn out to just be wars in the gym. You don't always get to, you know, when I was just saying this before, the guys I'm training my guys, and when they go into spar, they'll start off doing what I say, and it just goes left. They get hit with something. and it goes all out the window. I say, you're not listening. And they go, yeah, and go back out there and they're going into fight mode. Like the red mist kicks in and everyone goes, you know what? I ain't taking a backward step. It's going down. I've heard you say that, Johnny, as well. It's quite funny that I think you were talking about the sparring with Fabio one of the times, or someone else was in Dubois. I can't remember. And he said it was just kind of going off, and he's like, whoa, like, he gets into the little.
The first spar with Daniel Dubois was quite tasty because I think Sam Jones, as he does, talks you up very well. And he's been saying Johnny's been giving Joe some great sparring for the Dubois fight. A lot of credit's got to go to Johnny. So I think Daniel wanted to prove a little bit of a point when he sparred me, which was great because that developed me. The first spar he got the better of, which was probably understandable because of the level that he's at and the experience he's got better than me. I was expecting him to be getting the better of me in spars. But every spar after that, I picked something else up. I learned something new, and it was great for my development. So I can only thank Daniel Dubois for that because I learned off of him, and he's obviously levels above me. But as you said, in sparring, is sometimes you do go to that place of red mist. But for me, I'm starting to learn to stop doing that because you don't need to do that. The only place you need to see red mist is when you're in a deep hole in a boxing match, in a fight. You don't need to worry about sparring and proving points in sparring anymore. Sparring's about development. Sparring's about developing.
Reading between the lines.
Let me just jump in there. That is pretty impressive for someone so early in their career to kind of be making that. I know it's good. It's good talking. We want to hope that you do what you say, but
it's very hard to do that.
It's very rare you see someone so early in their career kind of understand what that is and understand what sparring is actually for.
Listen, I might not be able to do that straight away. I might have that red mist and have that instinct to fight, but I'm trying to recognise it, and I am when I'm sparring. I'm starting to realise, right, if I get caught with a good combination, I don't have to answer it back straight away. I can wait for my time. That's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Is that maybe where the nickname comes into play, Johnny, about the Romford Bull? Are you trying to tame that bull?
Yeah, listen, I've got that natural instinct. I've always had it as a kid. I'm an aggressive in a not in a bullyish way, just in the way I am with sport. When I played rugby, I've just got that aggressive streak, which is good. You need to have that spitefulness if you want to be a heavyweight boxer, especially. But you want to control it and you want to tame it, as you said. So yes, I can use the Romford Bull tactics when I need to, but it's about I've got good boxing skills and I want to show that. I want to show that in this fight that I can box as well and I can relax, because I've shown it in sparring against these top guys. But sparring is sparring. You've got to then translate that into a boxing match.
It sounds like you had a bit of a tasty one with Daniel Dubois. I saw Joe and Alan Babbage release some footage actually, which you don't see all that often of sparring.
Yeah,
and it looked like those two guys weren't, as you say, Dean, they weren't ready to step back either. That looked like something you could have sold tickets to.
I haven't seen it, but I have heard of it. Someone was saying it's on YouTube and stuff. I'll probably go and have a look. But look, Joe Joyce, one thing, they call him the Juggernaut for a reason. He is. Listen, my guy, I got Iffy used to go and spar with him, and listen, man, he's just relentless. He eats some big shots here, and he comes back with investment. Trust me. He comes back with investment. Whatever you give, he's gonna say, okay, my friend, no worries.
Exactly.
I know how to sort this out.
I think that's been good for my development as well, because when you spar someone that young and someone you hit him with everything you got and they'll keep coming forward, that's good for your character building as well, because you've got to be able to deal with that relentlessness. Every time you catch someone, they're not going to go down, or they'll go down and they'll get back up. And I think that helped me a lot. There's some footage of me and Joe sparring as well on Frank Warren's or BT's Sports Instagram as well. So, and there's some good footage. But if it weren't for Joe, I wouldn't be where I am now with the chance I've got to progress. He developed me a lot. He was the experienced guy bringing me along, and now we spar together and we're doing 6-8 rounds at a time, and we both give each other good work. But that's only because he gave me a good chance at the beginning, if you know what I mean.
Johnny, let me just ask you real quick and put you on the spot. Apologies. What did you make of Joe Joyce's performance against Carlos Takam? What did you make of that fight?
It's typical of Joe Joyce. He does get caught, he does get hit, and people can see that. He does, but he's got that unbelievable granite chin, and he somehow finds a way through it. It's quite demoralising for an opponent, I should imagine, if you hit him with clean shots and it's not having any effect. And he's always had an answer. It might not have been as emphatic as what Carlos Takam was hitting him with, but everything that came to him, he was answering back. He kept walking forward, he kept coming forward, and I was watching it ringside, and by round 4, round 5, you could see the body language of Takam, or the way he's carrying his feet was becoming more tired, more fatigued. And I think that's what Joe Joyce does to people. It's not always pretty to watch. It's typical. It was a typical Joe Joyce performance. Not always pretty, but he gets the job done and he wears people down. He's the juggernaut. It's in the name.
You're not wrong there. I heard something on the radio the next day, and I thought it was probably well put. People were asking, was the stoppage early? And the guy said, look, you could argue maybe a couple of seconds early. He says, but you'd rather see it 10 seconds early than 10 seconds late, you know? So I thought
how would the ref have been felt, and how would he have been vilified if he did let it go on another 10 seconds and Carlos Takam's flat on the floor? It would have been a completely different story. So you've got to take the fact that he wasn't answering back properly. It probably was stopped, and didn't have that emphatic finish. But what's the ref got to do? He's only going to dig himself a hole if he doesn't stop the fight in that situation.
Yeah, no, fair point. So let's move on to your fight then. One thing that I'm quite interested in, it's obviously Dean and myself know we work in the Ultimate Boxer back in the day. It's almost like a bit of an Ultimate Boxer reunion for the heavyweights this weekend at Fight Camp with Nick Webb, Mark Bennett, and your opponent Danny Whitaker. Have you seen much of Danny? Because he was a last-minute replacement at Ultimate Boxer. He wasn't very well known, but he let people know he was there by upsetting the odds against the favourite in the first round. Have you seen much of him?
I've been watching bits of him. Mark Tibbs has been watching a lot of him as well. And I know he can box, and I know he's quite slippery, and he can hold his hands up better than the last two people I've fought. And it's going to be a tough test. If I do smother my work, it's going to play into his hands. He's going to make it awkward. He's going to make it difficult. He's not the most powerful of punchers, but he can box, and he's a big old unit. So I've got to give him the respect he deserves, and that requires my best performance, and that requires me to stay steady behind my jab, steady behind my distance, and fight the fight on my terms.
I don't know about you, Dean. I'm hearing a very confident, but not overconfident. Not this is not arrogance here. This is, and I've not spoken to Danny before this. Obviously, I've spoken to Danny a few times in the past. I've not spoken to him yet for this fight week. I probably will do at some point. But Danny's a good test. But Johnny just seems confident. He seems like he's ready for this.
Yeah, well, you should believe in yourself. If you don't have confidence in yourself, you're in the wrong game, my friend. You know what I mean? You don't need to be arrogant. You just need to be confident that you've done the work. And right now, Johnny's undefeated, so he doesn't know how to lose. He's got that confidence. He's obviously it's on his show who he signed to with Matchroom. Whitaker is lost already recently. He lost, didn't he lose against? Did he fight David? Is that the same guy?
Yeah, he fought David Adelaide.
And he lost to Chris Healy as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he lost recently in the Century Area title fight against Chris Healy.
That's right.
Yeah, so look, he's lost the last few times, so he's in a downward spiral. His confidence is probably shot to pieces, to be honest. But like you said, he's got experience. He'll know how to maneuver around the ring. He's been in with big punches. He knows how to negate certain things. He might give you a few rounds. You know what I mean? He might give you a bit more. He might have a bit more fire in his belly. Say, you know what? I've had enough. I'm gonna go for it. You know what I mean? There's different. You don't know, but what you must be is prepared for whatever he brings. That's it. And having confidence is the first step to going out there, setting out your stall, and knowing what to kind of prepare and see and have a look. He'll give you things, and you're going to have to answer the things he does, and you're going to have the key to say, hey, well, here's my key, and let me open the door and have a good night for you, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, it's a tough test. It's a tough test in the sense that he could have nothing to lose. He could come into this fight and think, I'm just going to give it a good go. But as you said, Dean, I prepared hard. I prepared well, sparred very well, and I can't train any harder. So I'm going in there relaxed and ready to do what I can. And whatever happens, if it goes a distance, it goes a distance. If I stop him, I stop him. But the plan is to get the victory. What do you
make of the other heavyweight clash on there? Well, one of the other heavyweight clashes in the Nick Webb, Fabio Wardley. I want to come to Alan Babbage in a moment, but it's just a busy night for the British heavyweight scene. Babbage, okay, he's not British, but he's big on the British scene. We'll come to him in a sec. But Nick Webb v Fabio Wardley is very, very interesting. As a fellow heavyweight, Johnny, I'm interested in hearing your opinion on that fight.
I spar Fabio a lot, and he's got a unique style. It's not a conventional style, but it can cause people problems. We've seen it in his last few fights. It has caused a few people problems. But it's a tough one to pick because Nick Webb's got that. He's a big unit. He's strong. He's got some knockouts on his resume, but he's also been knocked out himself. I edge towards Fabio, not just because I spar him a lot and I see him a lot, and we're good mates in a way, but I just think Fabio's got an elusive style that could work against someone like Nick Webb, who's quite upright, quite tall, is powerful, but I think that style will gel quite well for Fabio Wardley.
What do you reckon, Dean? What's your thought on it?
It's the resurgent, man, of Nick Webb, man. Look, he's on a roll, man. He got a great win over someone who was a very decorated amateur. The guy, he beat one of Dillion's guys in Gibraltar. Sound win. He won Ultimate Boxer. He's just been on the roll because he had a few losses. That mad knockout, that emphatic knockout by Dave Allen, and a few other things didn't go his way. And then I don't know where he just came. He's come back from nowhere. He's come back from the dead, to be honest, and he's on a roll. And it's good to see, like you said, you know, because he's a big lump. To be honest, he's a very likable lad. But Fabio is one of the boys, obviously, you know, Dylan's boys and stuff. He's come from the white collar scene and he's been doing quite good. Like you said, he's elusive. He has a strange style, but it works. It seems to work for him. And he's got a good, and he's quite a fast heavyweight, and he carries power, as you've seen. He's had some, you know, he's got a little bit of a pop there, and he seems to. But you know that Nick Webb is doing good. He knows how to use his jab. He knows how to use his size, and it's going to be interesting Saturday, you know. So it's going to be a hard one, man. And I'm hoping to come down. Actually, I might just pop down, gate crash the party, and then upset everyone's. And they'd be like, where did that guy come from? Yeah.
I'll come with you. What before we move on to Alan, then, what I'm wary of doing, Johnny, I've not just brought you on to ask your opinion on this fight and this fight and this fight. It's always interesting, especially on the heavyweight scene. It's always interesting hearing the other opinions. But before we get onto the who wins Babic and Bennett and how does that go down, what do you make of the back and forth, if you like? There's a bit of a storyline developing, mainly between Nick Webb and Alan Babic, but Fabio Wardley almost by default has been dragged into this about who you know, I'm going to smash you up next, or you didn't say it to my face, blah 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 blah. What do you make of all this going on in your fight camp?
I think it's interesting. I think Babic himself is just interesting. Whatever you think of him, he's bringing excitement in. He's bringing new fans in. Like my brother, who's a boxing fan, but not a huge boxing fan. He's bringing him into it. I think Babic has been really good for the sport. But in terms of the trash talk back and forth, it's not something I want to get involved in or ever have in my career. It might come to a point where I get that put on me, but I'm not one for trash talk. I'm not one for all of that sort of stuff. But Fabio, as you said, has been dragged into it, but it's selling the fight. It's getting more people interested. Not something I would do personally, but everyone has their own style now. They deal with build-up to fights, don't they?
They do. What have you made of it? Personally, I love the fight. Nick Webb v. Alan Babic.
Yeah,
it's a great fight.
Great fight.
I don't know if it can't happen if Nick wins or loses. I don't know. But what do you make of the whole situation, Dean?
Yeah, it's an excitement. Look, it's all exciting. It's boxing. It's showbiz and it's entertainment. That's what we're here for. Do you know something? Remember, there's like a build-up. You know, like it's the content that we're creating before the drama, big drama show. You know, Triple G. Remember that big drama show? Like, so you get me. So look, it's like it's the you know the beginning, the starter, and then obviously you get to hear the back and forward. This man, he says this, she says that. Boom, boom, boom. Obviously the winner of that, and then after that, Nick Webb. Whoever loses, Nick Webb's in a win-win because he gets paid Saturday night, win or lose. If he loses, he's still looking like he's got another big payday, win or lose again. So he's in a position where he's continuing to earn a crust, win or lose. Still in the picture, still in the frame. But I mean, saying that, listen, they're all hard fights, but we know what we get with Babic. Relentless pressure, big swinging haymakers, and you know, most of his fights, all of his fights are ended in knockout. And we're in for it's a different style though, because this is someone who has desire and purpose in Nick Webb, who's big, strong, can use his jab, and knows what he's doing around the ring. So it will be a big step up as well for the Savage as well. But Savage is my bro, so obviously I'm gonna back Savage, just like I've got to back Fabio as well. The team guys doing their thing. But what I do is I just wish both guys the best and they come out safe and healthy, and you know, and they give respect to each other after the bell once it's all said and done. Really.
Yeah. Well, on the Babbage Bennett fight, then it's an interesting one for me. And again, it's this old Ultimate Boxer rehash, if you like, because his last fight was Damian Chambers, who very good cruiserweight, took it at short notice, in fairness to him, but he has toyed, as far as I'm aware, with the idea of moving up to heavy. He's a big cruiser, Damian. He's a big cruiser, very muscly, which obviously carries a lot of weight. But Alan has obviously dispatched him. Now, Mark Bennett, as again we saw that night, he's just a big fella. He's massive. He might be one of the biggest heavyweights I've stood next to, Mark Bennett. And I think him going up against Alan Babbage provides a different test for Alan. You know, Damian was not as big as Alan. Damian is not as big as Mark. So Alan, if he's going to keep this amazing knockout ratio going in the first, see, all his knockouts will come in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah,
7 KOs in the first 3 rounds. He's gonna have to find something different against Bennett to do that. I'll start with you, John. Have you seen anything of this Mark Bennett, Johnny? Have you seen him?
I watched him. Did he fight Danny with? No, he fought Josh Sandon, didn't he, in the Ultimate Boxer? And he did, and he just sort of ragdolled Josh Sandon around a bit. But sometimes I find when you fight someone as big and a massive unit, it's an easy target to hit. Sometimes I prefer fighting people who are bigger than me because you can be the aggressor. You can cover that distance and you can not smother your work, but you can shut that space down. It's not so the onus isn't on you to set your jab up and try and keep the distance and keep him away. Babbage can just be Babbage and just go forward and smash and do the haymakers, as Dean said. So it could work in Babbage's favour to have a big, solid target there for him to break down.
So let's bring this back to you then, Johnny. Because I agree. You know, I think Alan should get the win, but it should be a good fight all the same. What's your schedule looking like after this fight? I mean, touch wood, you get the win from your perspective, then you move on. Where are you? Where's your progression lie?
I don't think too far ahead, but I know that I've got about 2 or 3 fights left with this year, I think. So I would like to fight abroad and get some experience fighting some tough opponents abroad, because as you said about the British scene, you've got this sort of the Danny Whitakers, the Josh Sandons, and then after that you jump up a little bit. And am I ready myself for that level? Probably not at that level yet. I know I'm very, very young in my career. I've got a lot of experience to gain. So I think for me, it'd be good to fight abroad and fight some good, tough, durable opponents abroad who can have a fight as well and give me something to think about, because that's what all my development should be about. It should be about developing me and not rushing me through. And that's something that Sam's got to think about. That's what Eddie's got to think about as well. And they'll develop a plan, which is good for me and good for my development, because as I've always said, I'm not someone who's arrogant, who thinks that I'm going to beat this guy, I'm going to get through this guy. The most important thing at the minute is winning on Saturday, and then I can decide what I want to do after that.
I like it, Dean, when fighters talk honestly like this. I had a chat with Chris Billum-Smith last week, and he did the same. He said, if I win this fight, I'm not ready to go for a world title fight. People are going to say that that's next, but I'm not ready. And it's quite easy for boxers to say, oh, what, like, you know, I want this guy, throw me in with anyone, I'll fight anyone. It's quite refreshing to hear, especially a young fighters. Like, you know, you said it before about something else Johnny said at the top there. It's good to hear him talk, honestly, because Johnny now is building a name for himself. So if he called out someone of, I don't know, let's say Nick Webb or someone like that, he'd probably get it. He'd probably get that fight. But he himself is saying, I'm not ready for it. Make me ready for it. Get me ready. And it's nice to hear.
Yeah, of course it is. You know, he's a man that knows what he wants to do and knows where he's going. He's an educated man, was at uni and stuff. So he's smart. You've got some form of degree, I think. Is that what
history degree. History degree.
Yeah, so he understands. And obviously, what you got? Is it a family business you come from? Is that where the Romford Bull name?
Yeah.
So he understands business. You understand? So he understands this is a business boxing. Some people miss that whole thing. You understand? You gotta build your infrastructure, just like if you had a building company, scaffolding company. You set out the infrastructure at the bottom, and you slowly put things together until you get to the stage where you need to be, and you move on and progress in the right fashion. If you miss one of the steps in your infrastructure, what will happen when you reach the middle or the thing, you'll have a slope, and that's where it gets all rocky. You might get past that junction, but you see when you get past that, you don't go any further because you've missed the graduation, you've missed the developing steps. I try and say that to people a lot, and that's what I found just in boxing. You can't miss any steps because eventually you'll get caught up.
Especially with me having limited amateur background. I know you can still, there's lots of people who have done it and not had amateur background, but especially for me, as someone who hasn't, you need to build them foundations as a professional, especially well. And I'm doing that in a minute. I'm building them foundations, just learning my craft, even in the gym itself, just learning different things. I'm picking things up, and I've got to go and fight some durable opponents, and people are going to give me things to think about. So when I do make them steps up at British level, at European level, if I get there, then I'm ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just finally, on the heavyweight scene and on fighting abroad, I saw Daniel Dubois and Tommy Fury going over to the Jake Paul undercard. I think they've been confirmed now. Excuse me. So it looks like they're going over. Is that something that you'd be interested in doing, Johnny? Obviously, Jake, whether you love him or hate him, people are talking about it. And would you take an opportunity to go fight on his undercard?
Of course. If someone offered me to fight on a multi-million, hundreds of millions of dollar fight card, I'd be stupid not to, wouldn't I? We talk about business, we talk about boxing, about making money and getting paid. We don't do what we do for free. We do it because we want to get paid and we want to earn a good living. If we did it for free, we'd be a bit stupid. But we love it. We enjoy boxing. We do it because we do love the sport. But at the same time, we're all trying to make a living. And what better place? I know Jake Paul's got his critics, and yeah, he's stirred the pot a little bit, but he's got a great trainer in BJ Flores, and he's come through every test so far. So I can't knock what he's doing. He's making himself a good bit of money, and he's getting people talking about boxing, which is the main thing.
It's huge exposure, isn't it, Dean? You know, those two games in particular going over there.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how that synergy worked out. How did they get that login with, what is it? Is it Top Rank that he's with now? Who's he with?
Is it Triller? Is that what it is?
Because one was with Triller and then one was with, is it Top Rank or one of them they signed with?
I can't remember.
But yeah, I'm just wondering how Queensbury made that connection. But look, it's good for them because it's about branding. It's like they're opening up the door for a new market in America to expose your brand to. I remember, as a fighter, you're the brand. You're exposing yourself, and you've got to go out, make a statement, and make sure when you cross the pond, you can articulate yourself and draw in new audience, new fans who say, "Well, I liked how that guy spoke. He was confident. He was assertive. He was articulate, and then he went out there and done the damage. And I like that. You know what I mean?" But Americans are a different thing because they're kind of brash, and you know how they get on their smoke talking, and they like a little bit of argument.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's good. It's good.
With Daniel Dubois, a guy who loves a knockout, and Tommy Fury, a guy with the backstory and the body image that he has, looking to get in with Jake Paul, from an American standpoint, they're handpicked. They probably couldn't have picked two better names. You know, like they will sell massively over there. So I think it's a really good move. Listen, Johnny, we're going to let you run on because I feel like we've kept you in your car for ages, and you slowly got darker and darker on you.
Yeah, it's getting darker and darker in here. I'm falling into the night.
I can't even see you anymore.
Yeah.
But listen, mate, keep up the beard game. Don't listen to the negative naysayers, mate. It looks great.
Thanks, Chris. And thanks, Dean. I appreciate you both having me on. Good to speak to you both.
Anytime, mate. We'll speak to you after fight camp.
Cheers.
Enjoy.